Back to the Gemara on Daf Bet Amud Bet. Having asked the question of what the relationship is between Avot and Toledot in Nizikin, the Mishnah mentions Avot, the Gemara assumes there must be Nizikin, that must be Toledot for Nizikin, and wants to know what the relationship is. Rav Papa said, well, there are some where the Toledot are the same and some where the Toledot are different, and we're trying to figure out which ones fit into which categories. So we've just established that for Karen, which is an Av of Shor, the Toledot and the Avot, or the Toledot and the Av are the same. So the Gemara says that Rav Papa's statement must have referred to Shen and Regal. So now we're going to investigate Shen and Regal. Shen v'Regal heicha k'tiveh. Shen and Regal, where are those written? What's the biblical source for those? This is a question. Titania, as we learned in the Braita, V'shilach zeh haregel. The word V'shilach in a pasuk that we'll see in a moment refers to Regal. V'chen hu omer. And so too, the Tanakh says elsewhere, Meshalchei Regel HaShor v'HaChamor. Those who put out their legs, the shor and the chamor. We'll look at all of these in context in a moment. Let's just note that this is a pasuk, and this is also a pasuk. And this entire thing is a Braita. So I'm going to change the color here of the writing to bright red instead of highlighting in bright red. And these pasukim, one comes from Shemot and one comes from Yeshayahu. The pasuk in Shemot says that ki yav er ish sadeh o kerem, when someone lets his animal into another person's land, v'shilach et be'ira or be'iro, ubi er b'sdeh acher, meitav sadehu meitav kamar yushalem. So if he lets the animal graze so much that there's nothing left, then he has to pay back for the person's field. But it uses the word v'shilach, and the pasuk in Yeshayahu talks about meshalchei regel, those who send out the different kinds of animals, the shor and the chamor. So the Braita says, well, this is the source for regel. This is how we know v'shilach refers to regel, meshalchei regel, taken together, we know that that's a reference to the Av of regel. Ubi'er zo hashen, and the word bi'er there refers to Shen. Oops, there really should be two quotation marks here. So the word bi'er there refers to Shen. Vechen hu omer, and so too it says in Melachim, ka'asher yiv'ar. So this is a pasuk in Melachim, as I said. I'm going to put this in quotes. This is a pasuk. And this is a word from the pasuk. This is the same word that we just saw from that same pasuk in Shemot. Ubi er, that the animal consumes the field in some way, and that's a problem. And the pasuk in Melachim is here also. It's here twice actually. Ubi artzi, right? Ka'asher yiva'er. I'll sweep away the house of Yerovam, like the way that dung is swept away, but the idea here is destruction. So those two taken together mean that we've now established that there's a mention of Shen. Okay, this is the transition to the next Amud. Ka'asher yiva'er hagalal ad tumo. That's the pasuk. Sorry. And all of this still is part of the Braita. And you'll know that because it's in red font, even though I didn't highlight the whole thing. So that's the Braita. It gives us actually two sources for Regel and two sources for Shen. Two psukim that are meant to, taken together, refer to each of these. Amar Mar. Literally, this means the master said, and the Gemara uses this phrase when it wants to focus in on, quote, and focus on a piece from a previously quoted Braita. So it's just going to quote the same thing again. V'shilach zo haregel. Oops. V'chen hu omer meshalchei regel hashor v'hachamor. So again, we have these two quotes from one from Torah, one from Nach, that seem to indicate that that Regel is mentioned as an Av. Tama dekatev Rachmana mishalchei regel hashor v'hachamor. It seems that the reason, Tama means reason, the reason that we know this is because the Torah said mishalchei regel hashor v'hachamor. In other words, we seem to know this from the first, from having the second pasuk. It seems like the Breita is telling us that we need both psukim in order to know about this category of regel. Halav hachi b'may mukmatla. So without this, lav hachi, without this, b'may mukmatla, what would we have upheld it as? How would we have read it? In other words, if we just had the first pasuk and we didn't have the second pasuk, how would we have understood that first pasuk? Did we really need the second pasuk? When we had this first pasuk, of course, the first pasuk is the more relevant to our cases, right? This is about an animal actually going out and doing damage, this verse in Shemot. So did we really need that second pasuk to prove anything? Was that really necessary? So I'm going to say that this is all a question. I Karen, K'tiv. If you would want to read that pasuk, that part of the pasuk, as referring to Karen, no, we already have a pasuk for that. I Shen, and if you would want to read it as referring to tooth, K'tiv. This again is still part of the problem, right? There's no other way to read that first pasuk other than as regel. So why on earth did we need another pasuk to prove it as well? Itzrich. It is necessary. We need it. This is the answer. This is the solution. We actually did need both psukim. Sel k'tzai techamina. You would have thought to say, what you would have thought is, idi ve'idi yashen. That both of these references are to tooth. You might have thought that both of these refer to tooth. The had mechalya karna, had lo mechalya karna. And one is talking about when the principle, the main thing, the thing itself, is destroyed. And this other one is talking about when the thing itself is not destroyed. Kamash malan. Therefore, we need the second pasuk to teach us. In other words, you might have thought that we need two psukim to teach about Shen because there's two different kinds of tooth attacks from animals. One is where the entire thing gets destroyed, mechalya karna, the whole thing gets destroyed. And the other is a case where lo mechalya karna, it gets like nibbled around the edges, but the whole thing is not destroyed. And you might have thought that we need both of those, we need two psukim about Shen, and you wouldn't have known that one was about regel and one was about Shen. Kamash malan, therefore we have the second verse to teach us, right? The second verse, the verse from Yeshayahu, Mishalchei regel hashor v'hachamor, teaches you that word about v'shilach is talking about regel, and you shouldn't think that it's also about Shen. So now the Gemara needs to ask a question about that. V'hashta du'ukimna a regel. Now that we've established it as being about foot, so in other words, we know now that that pasuk is really about foot. We're not confused anymore. We know that the pasuk is about foot, not about Shen. Shen de lo mechalya karna minalan. So then how do we know that you can still have a case of Shen, right? That Shen can still be the category, even if not the entire thing got consumed. Right? In other words, it's all very well to say that we needed this other pasuk, or we needed both psukim to teach us about regel, and that teaches us that, in fact, that pasuk in Shemot refers to regel. But if that pasuk in Shemot refers to regel, then how do we know this other piece of information, which is apparently true, that it counts as a case of Shen, even if the whole thing didn't get destroyed? And the answer is dumya de regel. Well, we can say that Shen is like regel. Dumya domeh, it's just like regel. Ma regel lo shna mechalya karna, v'lo shna lo mechalya karna. Af Shen lo shna mechalya karna, v'lo shna lo mechalya karna. So too, in a case of Shen, it makes no difference either way. So just as with regel, it makes no difference whether the entire thing was destroyed or not. So too, with Shen, it makes no difference whether the entire thing was destroyed or not. This all then is the answer. And we can talk about how the Gemara knows this to be true about regel, but it assumes that it's true about regel. Regel and Shen are both in that same pasuk, and so it assumes that whatever is true for regel is true for Shen as well. Amar Mar, again, the master said, we're going to quote a piece from the Breita again. Ubi'er zo Hashen. Okay, that's a reference to Shen. We saw this before. V'chen hu omer, and so too it says, Ka'asher yiva'er hagalal ad tumo. Again, we have this secondary pasuk from Melachim to support it. Tama dekatav rachmana ka'asher yiva'er hagalal ad tumo. So the reason is because we have the second pasuk. Oops. Halav hachi b'mayu kimnala. So if we didn't have the second pasuk, how would we understand the pasuk in Shemot? In other words, is it really true that we wouldn't think that that first pasuk was referring to tooth if we didn't have the second pasuk in Melachim? Karen, k'tiv. If you would say that, you would maybe interpret that as referring to Karen. Nope, we already have a pasuk for Karen. Regel, k'tiv. And if you would say, well, I might interpret it as referring to regel. Nope, that's also already written. So that's all part of the problem, part of the question. Right? Why did we need that second pasuk? What would you have thought that first pasuk meant if you didn't have the pasuk from Melachim? Itzrich. Nope, it's really necessary. Salkazai techamina. Here's what you would have said. I would have thought to say, Idi v'idi regel. They're both about regel. Hada azil mamela. One is about a case where the animal went on its own, azil is to go. Hada shilach shulche. And the other is where the master sent the animal walking. Kamash malan. So therefore, that's the thing you might have thought. And since we didn't want you to think that, we had to give you both of these psukim, that second pasuk clarifying that no, we really are talking about Shen here and not about regel. The hashta du'ukiya Shen, and now that we've established that pasuk is talking about Shen, regel da'azla mela minala. So how do we know that if the animal goes on its own, it can still be a case of regel? How do we know this piece of information? It apparently doesn't come from that initial pasuk, the pasuk in Shemot, because we're using that to teach us about Shen. So the answer is Dumya de Shen. The answer is it's similar to Shen. It's the same as Shen. Ma Shen loshna shelcha shluche loshna da'azim memela. Just as. Ma means just as with tooth, it doesn't make a difference whether it was sent or whether it went on its own, talking about the animal. Af, so too with regel, it doesn't matter whether it was sent or whether the animal went by itself. That is, whether the owner sent the animal or the animal just wandered off on its own. In either case, the owner is held responsible. Okay, we'll stop here.